Every city has layers, the streets we walk, the buildings we see, and beneath it all, the hidden spaces we rarely consider. Subway systems move millions of people daily, organized, mapped, illuminated, but not every tunnel appears on public maps. Some routes were abandoned, some projects left unfinished, some passages sealed and forgotten, yet they remain there, stretching through darkness under crowded streets, quiet and visited, waiting. Tonight, we explore the mystery of forgotten subway tunnels beneath the city. Urban transit evolves. Constantly, new lines replace old ones, stations relocate, expansions redirect routes. Over decades, segments fall out of use, tracks removed, entrances closed, maintenance access restricted, but tunnels rarely disappear. Concrete and steel endure, leaving behind silent corridors parallel to the active system above them. Gaining authorized access required supervision and planning. Beyond active platforms, a maintenance corridor descended away from public areas. Lighting grew sparse, walls older, markings faded. Soon, the sound of trains vanished completely. In their place, only echoes, and the stillness, unique to underground space. The tunnel was wider than expected, tracks long removed, dust resting undisturbed. Occasional signage hinted at past operation, arrows pointing nowhere, numbers without context. The air carried a metallic scent, not unpleasant, just aged. Standing there produced a strange awareness, the realization that thousands once passed through, and now none did. Underground acoustics behave unpredictably. Distant city vibrations travel through concrete, water drips echo endlessly. Footsteps return from impossible directions. At times it felt like movement ahead, only to discover empty space. Not unsettling, just disorienting, a reminder that perception adapts differently when deprived of natural reference points. Deeper inside, an entire platform emerged from darkness. Cracked tiles, faded route maps, benches left behind. It resembled a paused moment, a snapshot preserved underground. Imagining crowds once waiting there was effortless. The atmosphere carried stillness. Not eerie, but reflective, like walking through history that time stepped past. Abandonment rarely stems from mystery. Urban redesign, budget constraints, safety modernization, shifting population needs, infrastructure adapts, and older paths lose purpose. Sealing them prevents confusion, limits maintenance demands, and protects the public. Practical decisions, not dramatic events, yet their existence fuels imagination, because unseen spaces always do. Extended silence affects perception. Without external stimuli, attention magnifies internal response. Small sounds become meaningful. Shadows appear animated. Time feels slower. It is not the tunnels themselves creating sensation. It is human awareness adjusting to unfamiliar environments. Still, the emotional impact remains undeniable. Climbing back towards street level felt like resurfacing. Sound returned first, then light, then movement. The contrast was striking. Above ground, life surged forward. Below, quiet corridors remained unchanged, hidden in plain sight. Beneath every major city exists a parallel landscape, unseen routes, abandoned passages, fragments of infrastructure history, not mysterious in origin, yet captivating in presence. They remind us that progress doesn't erase the past, it simply builds over it, and somewhere below, the noise of daily life, those tunnels still stretch onward, silent witnesses to the movement above, waiting, forgotten, but never gone. Bridges are meant to connect places. They carry people forward, over rivers, valleys, and time itself. But some crossings gain reputations that outlive their purpose. Travelers slow down when approaching. Locals choose alternate routes. Stories pass quietly between generations, because there's one bridge where something unusual happens at night. Not loud, not dramatic, just subtle moments when shadows seem to remain even after their source has gone. Tonight's story explores the bridge where shadows linger. The bridge sits on the outskirts of a small rural road, built decades ago from steel and concrete. It spans a slow-moving river rarely visited. By daylight, it appears ordinary. Traffic passes occasionally. Fishermen stand along the banks. Nothing suggests anything unusual. But after sunset, its atmosphere changes. Light sources become scarce. Sound carries differently, and attention sharpens. Residents don't describe frightening events. They speak instead of perception. Some report seeing elongated shadows stretch longer than expected. Others notice silhouettes remaining after vehicles pass. A few describe the sensation of movement just outside their focus. None claim danger. None provide dramatic detail. Only shared uncertainty, arriving just after sunset. The bridge felt calm and open. Street lights flickered on. Headlights occasionally swept across the pavement. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Shadows formed and shifted normally, following predictable angles, but waiting longer revealed something subtle. When vehicles crossed, their lights cast moving silhouettes. As expected, shapes stretched, slid, and disappeared. Yet occasionally, a faint outline remained a fraction longer than anticipated, barely noticeable, easily dismissed, a trick of lighting angles, or attention primed by expectation. Still, the repetition invited curiosity. Physical explanations are abundant, light scattered through mist, reflections from water below, structural geometry altering projection. Human perception also fills gaps, pattern recognition interpreting ambiguity. Bridges combine all these elements: angles, movement, limited illumination. Perfect conditions for visual misinterpretation. Near midnight, traffic vanished entirely. Without passing lights, shadows depended solely on moonlight. Standing alone in that quiet space, awareness heightened. Every motion registered, every contrast seemed deeper. And for a brief moment, a shifting outline appeared along the railing. Not distinct, not persistent, just a passing suggestion that faded as attention focused. Humans evolved to notice movement quickly. It ensured survival. But in low-stimulus environments, that sensitivity amplifies. Ambiguous input becomes meaningful. Stillness invites interpretation. It doesn't confirm unusual presence, only demonstrates how perception adapts. Yet knowing this doesn't eliminate the feeling when standing there alone, crossing back toward the road. Normal sounds returned, engines whined through trees, distant life. Looking back, the bridge appeared unchanged, quiet, still, ordinary. Yet its reputation remained understandable, not because of what happens there, but because of how it makes you observe. Some places aren't remembered for events or incidents. They're remembered for atmosphere. Moments that blow explanation. Sensations difficult to define. The bridge continues connecting destinations. Cars pass. People cross. And occasionally someone notices a shadow that seems to linger, long enough to wonder. Deep within a stretch of forest, far from highways and crowded towns, there sits a place once filled with laughter. Music played, lights shimmered, crowds gathered beneath colorful banners. But time moved on. Now rides stand motionless, paint fades under weathered skies, and silence replaces celebration. Some locations are forgotten naturally, others seen suspended between past and present. Tonight, we explore the abandoned Carnival in the forest. The site isn't marked on modern maps. It's reached only by walking through overgrown trails. Branches narrow the path, vegetation thickens. Evidence of human presence fades. Then suddenly, shapes appear between trees, metal structures, colorful panels, a Ferris wheel rising above the canopy. Unexpected, out of place, silent. Entering the clearing reveals a complete but aging layout. Ticket booths stand empty, ride platforms remain intact. Game stalls line dusty pathways. Nothing moves except nature reclaiming space. It's not frightening, just surreal. a reminder that environments designed for joy can feel entirely different once abandoned. The Ferris wheel dominates the scene, towering still, etched against fading light. Seats sway slightly with wind, producing gentle metallic tones. Standing beneath it creates perspective, imagining past visitors looking outward from above. Now, only trees observe its motionless frame. Rows of booths remain stocked with forgotten tokens of entertainment, worn signage, empty shelves, occasional remnants of decoration. They reflect everyday moments, simple recreation once shared by countless visitors. Their stillness emphasizes contrast, activity replaced by quiet preservation. Forests reshape acoustics. Wind carries through branches. Bird calls echo unpredictably. Loose structures amplify vibration. At times, metal parts resonate faintly. These natural interactions create atmosphere, not unusual in origin, yet evocative in effect. It's easy to see how imagination builds stories here. As evening arrives, colors fade. Shapes blend into shadow. Depth perception shifts. Carnival lights no longer define space only. Moonlight and memory remain. Walking through at night heightens awareness. Not because of events, but because unfamiliar silence amplifies perception. Closure often stems from practical reasons: economic challenges, ownership changes, declining attendance, relocation. Temporary attractions frequently move on, leaving structures behind when logistics prevent removal. Time transforms utility into relic, not mystery, just transition. Yet unanswered details encourage speculation. Departing returns perspective. The carnival recedes behind trees, hidden again by nature. It doesn't demand explanation. It doesn't seek attention. It simply exists, a preserved fragment of entertainment history. Silent, but not forgotten. Places designed for happiness don't lose meaning when abandoned. They transform. Memories linger in structure and space. Atmosphere shifts with time. The forest carnival stands as a reminder of passing eras, celebration paused, not erased. And somewhere between trees and sky, rides remain still, waiting only for wind to make them whisper again. Across quiet countryside roads, old homes sit surrounded by silence. Weathered wood, dim windows, stories that drift through generations. Most are simply places where time passes slowly. But there's one farmhouse known for something stranger. Visitors don't talk about voices. They don't describe shadows. They mention something subtler. Every clock inside the house, digital or mechanical, stops at the same moment. 3 a.m., not once, not twice, but repeatedly over decades. And no one has explained why. Tonight's story explores the farmhouse where clocks stop at 3 a.m. The farmhouse sits miles from town, built in the early 20th century. It's passed through multiple owners, serving as a working residence, a seasonal rental, and occasionally standing empty, despite renovations and electrical updates. One detail followed every occupant: reports of clocks halting overnight, always at the same time. Always inside the house, never outside it. Curiosity led me to spend a night there. To remove coincidence, I placed several timepieces throughout the home: a wall clock, a battery-powered alarm clock, a phone synchronized online, even a small travel watch. Evening passed peacefully. The farmhouse felt ordinary, quiet, spacious, calm, nothing unusual, until morning, at sunrise. The clocks told a consistent story. Each one displayed the same frozen moment: 3 o'clock a.m. Devices resumed function once reset, showing no obvious damage or malfunction. The phone had restarted overnight. Battery clocks required manual adjustment, individually. These outcomes could be dismissed. Together, they raised questions. Rational explanations come first: power interruptions, magnetic interference, temperature effects on mechanical systems. Rural infrastructure can fluctuate overnight. Yet utility records showed no outages. weather conditions remained stable, and neighboring homes reported nothing similar, which didn't confirm mystery, only removed simple answers. Former residents shared mild, non-dramatic experiences, restless sleep, odd timing disruptions, a sense of routine interruption. None described danger. None suggested dramatic events. Only the recurring clock pattern, noticed casually, remembered consistently. Stories grew with repetition, and over time, legend followed observation. Time itself is human-structured, measured, segmented, observed through devices we trust. When measurement fails, it challenges comfort, not because time changed, but because perception did. 3 a.m. carries cultural symbolism, a psychological anchor point that amplifies attention. Perhaps awareness shaped interpretation, or perhaps coincidence repeated until narrative formed. Spending another night revealed nothing dramatic, no disturbances, no unusual sounds, just stillness. Yet waking just before dawn, I checked again and again. The clocks displayed that same paused hour, calmly, silently, no spectacle, no explanation, just consistency. Departing brought perspective. Some mysteries resist urgency. They exist quietly, not frightening, not threatening, simply unresolved. The farmhouse continues its life. New visitors arrive, curiosity repeats, and every so often, the clocks pause again. Maybe it's environmental coincidence, maybe overlooked technical cause, maybe collective expectation shaping memory, or maybe some locations interact with time differently. Not altering it, just interrupting how we track it. Whatever the answer, one truth remains inside that farmhouse. Timepieces sometimes fall silent, and when they do, they agree on one thing: 3 a.m. If you enjoyed this atmospheric mystery, like and subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me below, would you spend a night there, watching the clocks? Across towns and countryside alike, church bells mark the rhythm of life. They signal gatherings, announce moments of reflection, carry sound across open fields and quiet streets. But occasionally, a bell rings when no one is there to pull the rope. In a small community, one historic church has become known for exactly that. Late at night, long after doors are locked, the bell sounds. No scheduled service. No caretaker present. Just a single tone rolling through darkness. Tonight's story explores the church bell that rings without a ringer. The church dates back over a century. Stone walls weathered by time, a wooden bell tower overlooking the town. It remains active, hosting services and community events. During the day, it feels welcoming and familiar, but its nighttime reputation centers on something unexplained: bell tones heard when no one is inside. Residents describe the sound as clear and unmistakable, not constant, not dramatic, just occasional single rings, sometimes spaced minutes apart. Many dismiss it as mechanical quirk. Others attribute it to wind movement. Yet maintenance inspections have found nothing unusual. Still, reports continue. With permission, I visited during daylight hours. The bell mechanism appeared traditional, rope-driven, manually operated. No automated system, no scheduled electronics. Solid, well-maintained. Straightforward. From a structural standpoint, nothing suggested spontaneous motion. Yet the stories persisted, remaining nearby after dark. The environment grew still, lights dimmed, traffic faded, town settled, hours passed quietly. Then a single bell tone, deep, measured, resonating outward. No visible activity at the building, no one entering or exiting. Just sound traveling across night air. There are rational possibilities. Wind interacting with tower structure, thermal expansion shifting components, subtle mechanical balance variations. Sound transmission also deceives perception. Bells from distant locations can appear closer than reality. Environmental factors explain many mysteries, yet even reasonable answers don't fully erase curiosity. Hearing a bell at night feels different from daytime ringing. Context shapes interpretation. In stillness, sound carries symbolic weight, reflection, memory, tradition. It invites contemplation rather than alarm, and perhaps that's why the phenomenon fascinates. Instead of frightens, later that night, another tone echoed, identical, measured, calm, again, no visible cause. Whether mechanical coincidence or environmental interaction, the effect remained striking, sound emerging from quiet space with no clear source. Departing the grounds, the bell faded into distance. Town lights returned, movement resumed. Behind me, the church stood unchanged, silent again. Whatever triggered those sounds remained uncertain, and perhaps that uncertainty sustains the story. Not every mystery seeks resolution. Some simply become part of place. Woven into identity and memory, the church bell continues ringing during services and celebrations, and occasionally, when no one stands in the tower. A reminder that sound travels freely through air, through time, through interpretation, and sometimes, across quiet nights, a single tone is enough to make people pause and wonder. If you enjoyed this atmospheric story, like and subscribe for more explorations, and tell me below, would you investigate the ringing, or simply listen from afar?